Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dion. I call this the crazy troll nation of YouTube. I was going to say the crazy nap because the crazy troll need a nap. I am tired and I'm emotional right now and a situation happened. But anyway, this is chapstick. We usually start most of our videos with chapstick. So if you're new here, that's how I start. Hey YouTube, my name is Dion. This is the crazy troll nation of YouTube. So the crazy troll nation, the short of it is crazy just being yourself, knowing it's okay to be yourself in your videos. The troll part is not caring too much about the beauty community standards. Love yourself for who you are and for how you look, even without face paint on. And I told you I was tired. My bag's is like, hey, how y'all doing? Let's hang out. Let's fire for nougat to the shindig and get jiggy with it. That's what my under eyes are saying. This indentation and this one, these are from my glasses. Anyway, you see from the title, we're doing our monthly roundup. I am not going to rank them except to say what's on the bottom. And what I will do though is when I talk about each palette, I will talk about my thoughts about the look I did, if I remember the look I did with that palette. There were quite a few pat pairings and other pairings and other stuff. And a PR package that I did looks with. So let's get into it. The first things I'm going to talk about is from Didi's signature. She sent me a skewer bundle package. This is the box that it came in. Excuse me for the glare. This is the box that it came in. And the back of the box, I'm so prepared. Each row is one of the skewers. So there's 4 palettes in the bundle. You can buy them as a bundle or individually, and these are what they look like. So we have the caramel skewer, tropical skewer, excuse me for any glares, this is juicy skewer, and this is exotic skewer. So I was content with all the looks that I did. 2 palettes I like more than others because they were more colorful. This one, I'm trying to remember about the look. Because I did one palette, one eye, one on the other eye, and then I did the same for the other 2. And so there were 2 in particular that I really liked, which was tropical and caramel. So this one, I think I was like, it was a nice look, but it was monochromatic. And so it was kind of like, it was cute though. But then I only did one look with each of the palettes. And so I am going to play around with them more. And you know me, I'm going to put all, if it's only 6 shades, they're all going on the lid. And I didn't want to be typical because looking at this, you see a green look or you see a pink purple look. This one is the dual chrome, and I want to say it showed up kind of goldish green on me. But looking at it, I think most people would go automatic monochromatic, green, 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 and then do a pink purple look. And I didn't want to do that. But the look that I did, it did end up being monochromatic. And I was kind of like, yeah, she cute. And the same with Juicy Skewer. This is the most monochromatic palette because it's all reds, and you have this shade right here. Very monochromatic look. It was okay, but I'm not into monochromatic looks. Even if I think they're pretty, they're not my vibe. The formula was good though. There was something in 2 of these palettes where the mattes were hard to work with, or they were dry or patchy or something. But I don't remember which ones, except I do remember there was a blue. And I'm trying to look in these 2 palettes to see. It was in Caramel Skewer. I really like the look I did with this. It was very colorful. And I'm going to tell on myself. I remember when I opened up the PR packages and I said, I'm going to have to message Grace, Joe Beauty 87 for help with these colors because she does bold, colorful looks. And I do like the dark, type looks. But I did the looks without consultation and I sent them to her. She was like, they all look nice. And I'm like, thanks, girl. But I really do like the look that I did with this palette. This blue was hard to work with. It's dry. I'm gonna just say it is dry. But we did get it on, and the look, I really liked the look. So I was just like, okay, caramel skewer. Somebody commented they don't see anything caramel in this palette, and I don't either. But unless it's the caramel that you're putting the fruit in. So yeah, I don't know. So caramel skewer, I really like the look I did. Tropical skewer Even though this is a lot of blue, well, it seems a lot of blue, even though this is a black. And so my eye would go to monochromatic orange, orange, blue, blue. I forget, I think this showed up like a bright silver, and it surprised me how bright it was. But we did not do a monochromatic look, and the look was very colorful, very pretty, and I like it. I want to say that was it this one or another palette? I don't think it was this one. So ignore whatever I was going to say, but I didn't even say. Easy to ignore something I didn't say, huh? But I really like the look that I did with this one with Tropical, and I really like the look that I did with the Caramel Skewer because they were very colorful looks and not monochromatic red or not monochromatic greenish. The quality was okay. Aside from that blue and Caramel Skewer, there was another matte shade in another one of those palettes that was dry. And so I got it to work, but it was just like, And also I remember saying in that video when I wrapped up at the end, because all the looks were in the same video, the shimmer shades across these palettes are not created equal. Some were easier to work with than others. And so the formula is not consistent. That's what I'm trying to say. There's inconsistencies with the matte formulas and the shimmer metallic dual chrome formulas, but we did get everything to work, but just know that it may or may not be some inconsistencies in the quality. And then it could just be my batch. I don't know. So we also used for the month of December, we paired the golden one with one of the Pat motherships. I forget which one. At this point for me, this is a companion palette. I did a few looks with it on its own and I liked it. But I got to a point where after a few looks, it was like, what else can I do with you? But I do like this one though. And when I laid out all of the quints that I have, which is not a lot, I looked at which ones will I actually use because they are very similar in color story and in tone. This one is Sunset Romance. We used this one. I want to say we used it on its own. This is from the Bijou Brilliance. So this is one of the newer ones. Like I don't know, sell for like 20 bucks or something like that. It's just not my speed. And I was hoping it was going to surprise me the way that Bordeaux Bliss surprised me. Because this look came out super grungy and I wasn't even trying to go for grungy with this palette. And I was like, holy crap, like this is amazing. And so I was hoping this was going to do that too. And I think I was overzealous. And so I'm learning a lesson of always slowing myself down before I make a purchase. Usually I'm good about it, but then there's times I'm not. And that's what I'm in my feelings about now is I made a purchase off of emotion and it didn't turn out well. And I'm frustrated. And it's 80% me, 20% the company because they didn't list information on the website. So anyway, but I did purchase it on impulse. And so that's a me thing. So I can't fault the company. I should have taken more time and did my due diligence. But if the information is not on the website, then what else can I do? Anyway, let's get back to this fun stuff. So Sunset Romance. The look was okay, but it was just extremely basic. So this would definitely be on the bottom. Yes, Pat usually seems to be on the bottom in some cases with my roundups. So let's move to something that, Troll Mail that I was excited about. Hey, House Labs, they're very reflective. I was gifted both of these and I'm excited because something's coming up. Y'all know something is always coming up. But it's volume 1, excuse me. This is volume 1, the Super Neutrals. This is volume 2, the Super Neutrals. I enjoy both of these palettes. I did one look with each palette. Of course, we put all the colors on. Everything applied really well. I had no issues at all. Like, I don't get what the negative reviews were about. I think some people are not used to a creamy formula. The shimmers, the metallics in both of these, they're similar to the creamy formula in some of Pat McGrath's quints, and almost but not quite like Natasha's creamy matte and cream to powder formula. And so I think some people just aren't used to that. And I do know some people cannot stand Natasha Denona's creamy matte and cream to powder formula, which for these, it was the shimmers and the metallics that were really creamy. And even looking in it, you can see where, even in the mattes, you can see where I dipped my brush in it. Like they're creamy, and these are really creamy too. And looking in this one, you can see where my brush was in the pan. Even in these, you can see the dips. So they are very soft. This one right here, look at that. Like it is very soft, and even in the gold. So I think some people just weren't used to that. So it's about what you're used to. But I had no issue at all using either one of these palettes. I like the look I did. I'm excited because this being gifted to me, I didn't want to feel like the person wasted their money, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I like them. And I really do. Like I honestly, seriously do. And I do see some pairings coming up with those with other palettes. And I think I might have showed it in a video, like just holding them up like, do you see what I'm seeing here? And so I'm excited about that. Another thing I'm excited about is this was the empty palette that came in my Lethal Cosmetics large mystery bag. And the majority, I'll say half of these shadows were in the large mystery bag, and 6 of the shadows are from the Wildflower palette. So I took them out of the 6 pan palette and I put them in here. And so we can do like somewhat cohesive type looks. And I did a look with it and it was bomb. Some of these shades are a duplicate for me. I don't care. I really seriously don't. But this is what this palette, I'm trying to get the glares off. This is what this palette looks like. I really enjoy doing the look. I really enjoy Lethal's formulas. I do prefer the dark base multi-chromes and dual chromes over the lighter tones. But their lighter tones, yo, they be shining and sparkling and shimming. The look was nice. So this would be near the top. House Labs would be near the middle. And I have a lot more stuff to show y'all. But right now, House Labs is above average. DD Signature in the middle towards the bottom, only because out of the 4 palettes, only 2 I really like the looks that I did. The formula was good though, so I'm just saying that off of looks, which I normally don't do because formula does make a difference too. That Sunset Romance is just too basic, and I have too many similar shades within Pat McGrath to be excited about that. But this, I love Lethal's formula. I love the look that I did. Another thing, this is definitely at the top. Nocturnal Nirvana. We did pair this with one of the motherships. I just freaking love this thing. When I first saw it, I wanted it. I said, I'll wait for a sale. It would come back. It would be available, not on sale. Then it would go out of stock. And then it would come back on sale and then go out of stock. And I saw it. I want to say it was at least a 30% off sale. It might have been 40% off. And I saw it and I purchased it. And I am happy to have it. It is the big formula, which I like, which means it's not a lot of mess. And this is definitely at the top. Probably always kind of will be. Very colorful. We did a look with my MAC BYOP. This one I created July 2023. And so we finally got around to using this one. We used that before, but that is the last one that I created. So that would be the one that we used, right? Yeah. Why am I thinking, why am I thinking, I don't know. But anyway, love the look that I did. So maybe I don't know what I'm thinking. But anyway, I'm pretty sure. Because I had BYOP, and I do put when I created it, so I know like in my calendar which palette it was. But I really like the look. MAC for me just works. The same as Lethal, it just works. So they're always going to be above board that way. So let's, I did a look with the Lila palette from Natasha Denona. I love this palette. I don't use it a lot for no particular reason. And I don't have a large collection. Well, you may have seen my collection videos, but this is what it looks like. I really enjoy, I forget that this is a dual chrome. So it's looking here and then here, and I'm like, why is it looking like that? And this is a dual chrome too, but the flip is not as strong. So this is a multi-chrome. This one is a multi-chrome. But this is a beautiful palette. It's not one you can just pick up any day. Like you would, if you intentionally match your clothes to your makeup, you would have to have a plan. Like you wouldn't be able to just get dressed. What is that? You would not be able to just get dressed and see and be like, oh, I'm gonna use Lila, because you'll pull it out and look at your shirt and be like, we ain't using Lila today. But this is a wonderful palette. Or just stick to these 3 shades right here, or this one and these 3. So you can still do easily approachable looks, I'll call it. I won't say wearable, because for me, if you can wear it, it's wearable. But I also understand some people say that based on where they work. But where I worked, I wore whatever I wanted to, and nobody told me any different. So I understand it, but then I don't. You know what I mean? So, but anyway, yeah. So you can just stick to this for a neutral look, or this shade and these shades mixed with these. And if you don't want to deepen the look, use this for your upper lash line. So actually, you can just pull out Lila and use it. It depends on where you put the shades. You know what I mean? So yeah. So we did that. I was excited to get back to Lila. This is at the top. It's going to be above board. And since we're talking about Natasha, I rearranged my star palette quite a bit. And we did use this before we switched it up. And then I don't think we've used it since then. But this is what it's looking like now. So you have one side that's very just, what is my finger? Yeah, it is. Y'all listen, excuse me. As clumsy as I am, like even holding the palette and my fingers inside the shadow. I saw a video on the potting MAC shadows, the ones in a compact, and it was utilizing a little blowtorch. I went on Amazon and purchased one, and I had to purchase the gas for it. And of course, they ship the gas separate, the canister. And I did that today. And I'm thinking, I did it next to the kitchen sink, and when I was using a torch, it was like over the sink with the whatchamajigget, with the compact. Because y'all, I'm clumsy. And I'm like, me with a blowtorch? What the f? And I did have the fan on over the stove because my apartment was smelling like burnt rubber. But anyway, yeah, so that I was just like, as clumsy as I am using a fucking blowtorch, like this is just crazy. But anyway, so this side I would just use it as it is. This would be a nice transition for me because it doesn't show up bright like it looks in a pan. This side we can mix because you got some deeper, these 2 deep shades here, or just if you want a light ethereal look, or just throw a black from another palette or a single you have or something like that. So looking at this in person, it is pretty. This is pretty. Is it my vibe 100%? No, but I am confident that even if I just use this side, that I would be able to get a look that I like out of it. So this would be in the middle only because only this half. Look, I'm figuring it again. Only because this half is my vibe and this half isn't, even though I know I can get pretty looks out of it. And so that's the only reason that this would be in the middle. And I'm realizing I don't want to say I feel like I need to do a no buy, but there's times I just, when I know a brand works, or if I think it's going to work, I just want to spend money. But I need to just be like, I need to put this in savings. I'm not going to just buy something just because. And that's kind of what it was. And I got it half off along with the Star Quint, which is going somewhere. But anyway, Glam palette, the same deal. I'm like, I was curious about it, and I need to stop being curious about something when I look at it and I know it's not my vibe. I know it's not one of my preferred aesthetics. However, because you can swap around Natasha's shades, you can make it what you want. So I did swap out a few shades in the Glam palette, and it looks more like me. And so that could be a thing too. But the thing is, though, I'm not going to pay $69. Well, I'll say $50 because I don't pay full price for Natasha or for Pat or for much for that matter regarding makeup. I wouldn't pay full price for like 2 different middies just to mix them, because then I'm going to end up with a bunch of shades that I don't want. And I ended up with Natasha palettes that I didn't want because they were shadows I had swapped out. But thankfully, I knew somebody who wanted them, and so they did go to a good home. And so I wouldn't purchase 2 palettes just to mix them and then have a palette for the shadows I didn't want. The reason I was okay with Glam palette, and some of these are Retro Glam shades, is because Retro Glam came to me in an Ipsy subscription box, And if you wanted to purchase it, it was like $12. And so I'm like, you know what, I'll purchase Glam. And I did like the looks that I did with Glam, but it was still just a few shadows where they blended in more or less to my skin tone. So it was like a there, not there shimmery look. I had 3 shades on the lid. It looked like just one. And so I was just like, But I swapped it out and I love it. And I did a look with this and I am enjoying this palette. So I don't recommend buying multiple palettes just because you're like, oh, I can mix and match. If there's shadows in there, you know that you don't want to use, because then you're just wasting money because you're purchasing shadows you don't want to use. But again, because Retro Glam came to me, you know, for like $12, I was okay buying Glam on sale with the purpose of mixing, using it on its own and then mixing. And so this is it mixed, and I dig it. So this would be not at the tippy top, but above the line. Xenon. I did mix it. Even before I mixed it, I loved it. I swapped out 4 shades. I have used it since then. Yeah, and I have used it with the mixed shades. So this is what my Xenon looks like, and I love it. I love it. It's more me because I have this darker shade here, and I have this pop of color down here, and this pop of color right here. But even before that, this palette, y'all, this is at the top. This is definitely at the top because it excites me. It excites me. Why am I... Oh, I didn't use that. Okay. Y'all already know I did use 3 out of my 3 Martine Cosmetics palettes. Y'all already know. I think it was Look 17 with 669. You already know this is at the top. You already know that. I don't even need to say anything else. That's always going to be near the top. My second Martine Cosmetics palette was Mission XXX. This is like midway. I can get depth out of here, but they're not as dark. Like you saw 669. This is not that. It is not even halfway as deep as that. But I do enjoy the formula. I do enjoy the looks I did. And what surprised me was I did a gray look with this palette, and it looked like something I could have did with Xenon. If I'm not mistaken, this is a dual chrome and it's throwing me off because I'm seeing it so it's green and then it's like a brown. So I'm like, what is happening? I believe we used this shade, this one, and I think even that one. And I'm like, this is a really nice glam silver look with Mission XXX, which is alien theme from the movie franchise The Aliens. And all of the names are characters' names from in the movie. But I really, it surprised me to do like a gray monochromatic look with this palette because I hadn't thought about that before. But when I was looking at it, I was thinking, what can I do that I haven't done with this palette already? Because we've done columns, we've done rows. So I'm like, let me do something different. And it was really pretty. But then I could have did that with Xenon. But it may have been a little more sparkly though. But it was a beautiful look. So this would be midway. So maybe I can do like a bottom, midway, and then top tier. But then I would have to like rearrange. Like, because I'm just stacking stuff right now. I would have to like rearrange where stuff is. Or maybe, you know what? I'm going to do that right now. Okay. My third one that I purchased from Mission XXX, and it was only because, and this is what I'm saying about my thought process with buying stuff. I know the formula works for me, even though this palette, the formula was different. Are all of these going on the top? I'm not going to put all of these on the top. I can't have everything at the top. Wait a minute. That's going over there. Oh. So rude. Excuse me. The third one I purchased, I didn't know the formula was going to be different. This is Moolah Bank from Mission XXX. Yo, their palettes are expensive. And I purchased it from Belgium. I didn't wait for it to get the beauty bag. This is what the palette looks like. This is what the inside looks like. And some of y'all were like, keep it. And the look was beautiful. It was a learning process to learn to work with these shimmers right here. Francois is a beast. Like she a hoe that don't want to work. She's the hoe that does not want to work. But if you have the patience and the time, you know, she may give it up for you, and she will perform. But I like the looks I did, but this is not a deep palette. Unless you want to put this on and then put this on for every look that you do to deepen it up. And because I like the dark and the smoky and the vampy and the grunge. You know what I'm saying? So I used it again because I was trying to decide if I'm going to keep it or not. And some of you are right, the look is beautiful, keep it. I don't keep palettes just because of the look. I need to enjoy the formula. I need to be excited to use the palette. And so for me, it's more than just, oh, it's a pretty look. And when I look at the looks I did with this palette, when I go through my gallery, because most of them are greenish type looks, I can do that with other stuff in my collection. So I think about that too. Like even if it's a really pretty look, if I can do it with other stuff that I have that I like more, that I'm excited to use, then why are you here? It's kind of where I'm at. I do like the mattes in here. I mean, this is a really nice palette. The embossments in them, the imprints in them are really nice, and each shadow has one. Some are hard to see, like this one is hard to see. This one is a roll of toilet paper. I mean, it's really nice. This one says moolah, so I'm just like glancing to see. This one is gold bricks in it. So it's a really pretty palette. I don't even know. Oh, this is a clover that's in here. I don't know what this is. I think this is like a stamp. This one says coin in the middle. But this is a really beautiful palette. It's just more light than I like. And when I first saw it, I'm like, I'm getting it. And then I kept looking at it like, I don't like light palettes. I'm not going to get it. I got it. And so I need to remind myself, just because I like a brand and I know that brand works for me, meaning I'm not going to have a bad reaction to the shadows, that's not justification to buy it. And I spent a lot of money for this palette. And I have a note on here like what I spent for it. And I purchased a lipstick. The palette was $60. Shipping was almost $18. For this palette and a lipstick, which was almost $20, I spent $95.92. But even just the palette and shipping, that's like almost $80. So $80 on something I know that's not my vibe. It doesn't make sense. And I need to stop. So this year, when I was talking about my video, what my channel is going to look like in 2024, that's all part of it. And I need to really lock in, like, not just getting stuff just because I know the brand works for me. If it's not my color story, it's not my color story. Not to make impulse buys. 99% of the time when I make an impulse buy, I do regret it, and that's on me. And so it's not anybody else's fault. What else do I have? I just got motherships to show you. Okay. All of these, well, let me start with the one we used on its own, because the one definitely we used on its own because it's the newest one to me, was Divine Rose. And that's what this one looks like, Mothership number 7. I used the hell out of this palette, and it doesn't even look like it. It's not even a lot of dust. It's not a lot of shadow. It's not even really messy. Like, look at this palette. I like the looks that I did with it. They're not my vibe, though. This is an easy palette to use. I can pick this up and do a quick look in less than 10 minutes, and it's going to be pretty. But it's just, I want more. And it's the same thing. Like, I knew what I was getting when I purchased it. And I'm like, I'm just curious. I just want to see. And I saw, I think I purchased it 40% off, I think, which brought it down to like $77 and some change, free shipping. So I do really feel like I got my money's worth out of it. And I did pair it with other palettes after I used it on its own for a bunch of looks. I mean, I definitely ran through this palette. And so I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I wasted money. I don't feel like that at all. But this would be at the bottom because it's not my vibe. And the same, I'm not even going to show you Sunlit Seduction because I already did a thing. And I knew Sunlit Seduction wasn't my vibe. I do like the celestial shades in here. And I actually do like the matte shades in here as well. But I'm not going to show it to you because I already done busted it up. But I knew it wasn't my vibe. I was curious though. Again, the same with Divine Rose 7. It ain't Divine Rose 7. Mothership 7 Divine Rose. For me, it's a very easy palette to work with. And even the Celestial shades in here, dry brush over my Fenty primer, it just swiped on. It was fine. I had no issue. Even that red shade in here that people were not liking. I'm like, I really love that shade. But it was a very easy palette to use. The looks were nice. I liked it better, of course, when I paired it with other palettes because I was able to get more depth and more variety from it. And I got more variety from Sunlit Seduction than Moonlit Seduction, but I like Moonlit Seduction better because of the tones of it. But this one, I ran through it the same as Divine Rose Mothership number 7. I did a bunch of looks with it, and then I paired it. So I do feel like I got my money's worth out of it, which is why I didn't mind tearing it up. But that's at the bottom. That is definitely going to be at the bottom. Oh, these are fun. Ooh. Well, kind of sort of this one. Mothership number 5, Brown Seduction, because we were pairing Sunlit Seduction and we were pairing Divine Rose Mothership number 7. This is Brown Seduction. She basic as hell. The saving grace is this shade here, but I'm not going to keep a palette just for one bright shade. I do feel like, what video? No, I didn't air that video because I'm going to refilm it. I was saying how, I'll save it. But anyway, this is just basic. It is easy to use. What surprised me though is this is the second one I've had of Brown Seduction. This one, Extreme Aubergine, this shadow right here is dry as hell. And what's ironic is the first Brown Seduction I had, Extreme Aubergine, was not dry. It was not. So this is a different formula than the first one that I had. Or maybe this one is an older palette. I don't know. But this is my second one of Brown Seduction. And I purchased this before I started leaning into my aesthetic. And I know it sounds weird me saying that, leaning into my aesthetic, when I bought Sunlit Seduction recently, Divine Rose recently. Those are not my vibes either, but then I still bought them. So I understand the irony and the contradiction in what I'm saying. I recognize that. At the same time, you can get depth out of here because of this shade, this one, and this one. This shade, you see how this looks in the pan? When I put it on, it looks like this one. I lied to you not. This on my lid looks like that. It's ridiculous. But I like it because I like dark. I just have to be careful if I want to use it up here, just to like tap it really lightly so it doesn't, it's dark. So I do like the palette. It's just basic. It's basic. And then I wonder, like, am I going to keep just wanting to pair it? I've done looks with it on its own. So it's like after I do a bunch of looks with it on its own, it's like, what else can I do with you that I haven't done already? And that's because when I first get a palette, I run through it. You know what I'm saying? Why did I ran through it? So I do get my money's worth out of my palettes within like the first, I'll say the first 2 months. 3 tops. I've ran through a palette, used every shade at least 3 times. Like seriously, I will run my ass through a palette. These 3 are fun. The last 3, y'all could tell these are at the top, right? And we ran back and paired these as well because we already did a bunch of looks with them when I first got them. And I still enjoy using these on their own. This is subliminal. It is not. This is subversive. Mothership number 3. Is it Mothership number 3? Yeah, this right here, you got smoke. If you want to do grunge, you got grunge, but you definitely got smoke. These shades, and I'm not talking about just the celestial shades, and yes, this one is a dual chrome, but this is a basic shift. That purple to blue to red, that's a basic shift. So that's not exciting anymore. When it first came out, it was like, ooh, but now it's like, you find that in every other palette. So it's not even just that. The Gigabyte right here, I have never seen another shadow like Gigabyte. Never. I don't have indie shadows. like single shadows, because most of them are pressed pigments, and so I can't speak to that. But even seeing people in videos trying to swatch compare this to other shadows, and Gigabyte is Gigabyte, period. Like you can't mess with it. But this is just dark and smoky, and I like it. So this, oh my gosh, I'm being really silly. So this is definitely at the top. This one is Sublime. This I enjoy on its own, and I enjoy pairing it. And yes, other than the black, and when you take out this, it's basic. But when you put it all together, this is a special palette. I really like this palette because it is smoky. It gives me grunge if I want grunge. Like this shade right here, it gives me grunge. Like the way it looks on my lid. This one is looking different in person. Maybe it's because of the shadow down here. Like, I don't know. I'm looking like, what am I looking at? This is deeper in person. This is deeper in person. This is a pretty shade though. Let me see. Here you go. So you see the purple, and then it's not. I used this in the look, and I don't know if y'all be tricking me or not. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because after I do a look, I'll immediately post I do a short / IG reel, and I say it that way because that one video I use for an IG reel and for a YouTube short. And so after I do a look, I will post the reel on Instagram, and then a week later, whatever, I'll post the short on YouTube, and someone will say, "Oh, is that such and such?" Da, 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 da. And me, I don't know, because I was doing looks every day, and I'm saying today is January 2nd. I haven't worn makeup in like 4 days. And I'll be like, I don't know. So I have to go through my gallery and see. But then I'm like, wait a minute. They might have saw that on Instagram. And on Instagram, I do say we paired this palette with this palette. So I'm like, do y'all be tricking me? And y'all know what it is? And y'all just acting like y'all don't? When y'all be saying, ooh, is that Sublime from Mothership number 2? Do y'all be tricking me? Let me know in the comments. Like, for real. Like, do y'all really know? And y'all just be trying to act like y'all don't? But anyway, and I really don't remember. So when I look at eyeshadow looks, I don't think, oh, that's such and such a palette. Like I just, maybe it's just over my head. But some of y'all, they be like, oh, is that such and such? Or, oh, is that? And I'll be like, I don't know. Because I don't even remember. And even when I look at the picture, I don't even remember what it is. But anyway, this was one of the looks. They were like, oh, that looks like Sublime. And I'm like, it does? So maybe this is like Gigabyte, how it just stands out regardless of what it looks like. But I love this one. I love this. So you already know that's at the top, the last one. I'm excited. I'm like a little kid. This is Subliminal. Mothership number 1. I love this palette. I love this palette, and it surprised me. I waited a long time to get it because I'm like, oh, it's cool tone. I don't like me in all cool tones. This is a dual chrome right here. So you see how it's pink, and then it's blue, and then it's something else. Let me see. So it's this shade, then it's pink, and then, are those the only two? Just the pink, and then this bluish. Yeah, I guess so. I finally broke down and got it 40% off sale. Because even though I don't prefer me in cool tones, I realized it's the lighter cool tone shades. If you're going to give me dark and smoky, it can be a cool tone, I'm fine. And so I had to realize it's not just all cool tones, it's just the lighter cool tones. But then even looking at this one, like this looks light, that looks light, these look light, that looks light. Of course, the Skin Show shade is light. But when I got this palette, it was a 40% off sale. So I purchased $77 and some change, free shipping, no tax in Delaware. And I said, I'll just be easy. And most of my motherships, I do this. Top row, do a look. I love that friggin' look. Second look, I did the bottom row. I love that look. And this is the only mothership where the first 2 looks, I was like, yo, this is bomb. Usually it takes me at least a 3rd look, sometimes a 4th look to be like, okay, yeah, I like it. This out the gate, I loved it. And everything I've done since then, because regardless of what I do with it, it's going to be smoky. And I love that. I love this palette. So this is at the top. Definitely Subliminal is at the top. Definitely Sublime is at the top. Definitely Subversive is at the top. Definitely Nocturnal Nirvana is at the top. Ooh, definitely 669 is at the top. Definitely, where'd she go? Xenon is at the top. So y'all see the thing here. All dark, smoky, possibly messy grunge. That's where I live. Other places I visit. I go visit, hang out, and then I'm going back home. So what would be mid-tier? Because now you understand my vibe. The dark, the smoke. Now you understand that, right? If you're new here, if you've been here, you already know this. So that's my top tier. That's my top. These are my top. And even though this isn't smoke, these shades right here, regardless of what you put, like outer corner, whatever, pop one of these on the lid, you're still going to have that smoke from that outer corner shade. I have looks with just this quad, and those looks are bomb. No mattes in sight, just these 4 shades. Them looks was bomb. I was like, oh my gosh. So those are my tops. Mid-tier would be the Lila palette. And mid-tier is not bad. It's just not that dark, smoky, messy grunge. But you know what? I do think I could get messy grunge out of here. And maybe I'll do a look that way. Do an experiment, put on my lab coat. Can we get grunge out of Lila? So mid-tier would be Lila. I'm going to put this top tier because I can get grunge out of here. So I'm going to put MAC with the top tier with Xenon, 669, Motherships 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to put that over there. Lila so far is the only one mid-tier that we've gotten to. We're going to put this mid-tier because they're lighter tones, but they are so friggin' pretty. This gives me a little bit of depth, and so does this one. But the looks with this palette, y'all. And I still have more shades in there to use. Mid-tier also. Do I want to keep these mid-tier? The House Labs. I think I want to... I'm going to move these to top tier. Because if I'm remembering correctly, I did get smoke out of both of these palettes. This one because of these two, and this because of here. So we're going to move House Labs top tier with the MAC BYOP, Xenon 669, Motherships 1, 2, and 3, and Nocturnal Nirvana. So we're moving House Labs up to the top. Ooh, this is getting interesting. Me picking stuff on the fly. Mid-tier is going to be... Okay, we have Lila. We have the Lethal Cosmetics. Mid-tier is going to be Mission Triple X. Because it's... I do get depth out of here. But if I use any of these greens at all, it's going to turn into a green look. Which is why I wanted to do something different, and I just used the grays and silvers, and that was a very pretty look. So this is only mid-tier because it's not where I live. I go visit, we hang out, and then I'm going back home. So, but I do really like this palette. Mid-tier Glam palette. Love the formula. And I can do a lot with this. Mid-tier because I had to mix it for it to be mid-tier. You see what I'm saying? So if I had mixed it, it would be at the bottom somewhere. But I do really enjoy this palette. I do really enjoy her formula. And I remember back in the day, her middies didn't have many of the cream to powder and creamy matte shades. And so I stayed away from them. But the last few years, a lot of her minis have more and more of the creamy mattes and the cream to powders. And she's been experimenting with new shades, the sparkling foil shades and the wet sparkle and all of that. And I think, I don't know, but I think they did that because COVID shit was just crazy and people were broke. And so you can't keep thinking you're going to sell a $169 palette. So put some of that formula in the $69 palettes. Did I say $169? They were $129. Lila is a $129 palette. So it's like so they took that formula and started putting it in the $69 palettes. And people been sucking them up. And I'm glad that they did that. It was a good move. And that's what made me start buying the middies, because I always look to see what the shade descriptions are, what the formulas are. And so some of the midi palettes, the $69 palettes, I stayed away from because I'm like, I don't want just regular mattes. I don't want. And when I started seeing CM, which is creamy matte, or CP, cream to powder, CP, 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 CM, 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 metallic. I was like, oh, that's the formula I like. So that's what got me started with being okay with getting the MIDI palettes. Midway, Tropical Skewer. I'm trying to think if it was a color in here too that was kind of patchy. And also Midway is Caramel Skewer. I definitely remember this blue being not friendly. But I really do like the two looks. And the formula is solid. It's going to work. Is it going to be the best you've ever had? In my opinion, not the best I've ever had, but it's good enough for me to keep it and to enjoy using it and to be excited to do more looks with it, and it's mid-tier. So it's not like this shit sucks, I don't like it, whatever. You know, these are solid. These are solid. Once you learn the nuances between the different palettes and how the formulas are different between the palettes, then, you know, it's a learning experience. And I think for me, it's that way with most palettes outside of motherships. I know how they're going to perform. Natasha Denona, Creamy Matte, Cream to Powder, her regular metallics, I know how they're going to perform. Lethal, I know how they're going to perform. MAC, I know how they're going to perform. But a brand that's new to me, it's like, okay, I might need to learn something here. Also Midway, actually, shit, this is going to be at the bottom because it's so freaking basic and it's so similar to our other quints. Even though I do like pairing it with other palettes, but I don't like for that to be a requirement. So this is Midway, but near the bottom because, excuse me, I don't want to have to pair something. You know what I'm saying? But I do like this one, and I do like the looks I did with it. And it would be easy to take with me somewhere. This one, unlike some of the other quints, it does have 2 mattes in it, which I've done all shimmer looks before. I've done all matte looks before. So it doesn't bother me that some of her quints have 2 mattes. It doesn't bother me that some only have 1. It doesn't bother me that some have none. Because I've done all shimmer looks. Like, well, you know, whatever. Just do you, boo-boo. But, so this is Midway, but it's near the bottom of the Midway. We're going to get to the bottom. This is less stressful for me, like not ranking each one, because I know for sure right now, because I just picked it up. Sunset Romance is at the very bottom. Like this for me, and again, I knew, and I'm like, oh, maybe it'll be, and like, no, we are what we are. And it is a pretty palette, and I know a lot of people love it. It's just a preference thing. So it goes to my top. Mothership 1, 2, and 3. Subliminal, Sublime, Subversive. Martine Cosmetics 669. Xenon palette. And then you see this. Let that help you understand why this is on the very bottom. And it really is just preference. And even just to go there for a visit. I have other Pat McGrath quints that I visit, and I'll stay longer than when I visit this one. Why am I saying it like it's people? The Star palette is at the bottom only because I'm only digging this half of the palette. This half is pretty as hell on. I like it, but it's not where I live. You know what I'm saying? And so that's the only reason this is at the bottom. If it was just that one side, it would be higher up. And I did switch most of these on the other side, and I'm still just like, But I switched it to where I would actually use it and enjoy using it, not being like, oh my God, I gotta use that shit again. You know what I'm saying? At the bottom, Moolah Bank, because it's just too light for my liking. And I knew it, and I bought it anyway. I did use the hell out of it, so I do feel like, I don't know if I got my, $60 out of it plus shipping. But you know what? I feel like I did. I forget how many looks I did with. What look did I just do? I don't know. I want to say number 7 or number 8 with this palette. If I remember correctly, we did 2 columns a look, 2 columns a look, 2 columns a look, and then we did rows. And so that would be 6 looks right there. And actually, I think all of that is in one video. So we bust out 6 looks when I first got this palette. And by the end of that video, we used every shade in here twice. So I can say I do feel like I got my money's worth out of it. And Martine Cosmetics, their PAO was 24 months. And so it still has a whole lot of life left into it. And so, which is good because I feel good about, selling it if somebody will buy it, because it's not an old antique palette. There's still life left into it. The PAO was in 12 months and I had it for 12 months and now I'm selling it. You know what I'm saying? It still has about a good year left in it. And this is a pretty palette and the looks were pretty. I just like darker. So remember, 669, Subliminal, Sublime, Subversive, Xenon, and then you got this. And I know I just said that, but I just want you to understand. Exotic Skewer, because it was just monochromatic. And this showed up like a green, like a goldy green. And I'm thinking it was going to be something different. It was just very monochromatic. And yes, I know. I did the look. I chose the colors where they were going to go. I know. And honestly, I'm not even excited to see what else I can do with it. Because what else would I do with it except like a more monochromatic look than the one I did? I'm going to think of something. Or a halo look. I was going to say I'm going to use it again, but then once I say it, it's like I really got to do it. I'm going to use it again. But that's at the bottom. This is at the bottom because this is straight monochromatic. Like, I can do a halo look too, but then after that, what else am I going to do with it? And I'm not that creative because there's some people that can take these 6 shades and they can do a look and I'm like, damn, I wouldn't have thought of that. Because I don't do the graphic lines and do the artistic stuff and... You know what I mean? And some people, I just like the triple cut crease and all of that. And when you do that type of stuff, you can take these 6 shades and your look is like, whoa, I don't have that skill set. I know my limits and my capabilities. And so, but I'm not seeing much with this except the halo, other than what I did with it, because it's just very monochromatic. And I don't just want to just do, you know, like a 3-shade look. You know what I'm saying? But oh shit, I'm going to use these again. And maybe I'll do it in a live so that way it'll be fun because y'all will be here talking to me and not just me sitting here like, fuck, I got to use this shit again. And it's not shit, I'm not saying that. It's just like my mind is like, I don't want to use them again. But I've only used them once. I received in PR, you know, and the quality is okay. The quality is okay. So I don't just want to just completely write off those two. I really don't. Brown Seduction is at the bottom because Brown Seduction is basic as hell. I said it, and I will stand by it. Very pretty, basic as hell. And that's why it's at the bottom. And what I find is that when I do pair it, what am I using? This one and this one. I like the looks I did with it on its own. I like pairing it, but then it's like, if I'm just going to use them 2 shades, I can just get singles with those 2 shades. And I do have other shadows that are similar to the mattes in there. So it's just like, I don't need you to be here. And I do feel like makeup is a luxury and a privilege to have. I don't feel like we need to have makeup. This one is, oh, I'm not showing you Sunlit Seduction. I'm not even going to show you Sunlit Seduction. This is definitely at the bottom, not my vibe at all. I do really like the Celestial shades in there. But the palette as a whole is just not my vibe. Mothership 7 Divine Rose at the bottom. It's just not my vibe. I like all the looks I did with this palette. I think might have been one that I was kind of like, But for the most part, I really did enjoy all the looks I did with it. But it's just not my vibe. Martine Cosmetics, 669, Xenon, Subliminal, Sublime, Subversive. That's where I live. This ain't that at all. And I still bought it. So it's been a learning experience for me. And I've heard people say if people were more thoughtful about their purchases, they wouldn't have regrets or do declutters. I don't regret my purchases because it was a learning lesson. Like, even if I'm just curious about something I'm learning, that don't mean still get it just because I'm curious. You know what I'm saying? If it's not my vibe, leave it alone. Don't even bother. So that's what I'm learning. And also because I do run through palettes, I do get my money's worth out of it. It's not, you know, I use it one time and I'm like, oh, I don't like this. And then it sits here for 6 months and then I declutter it. Like, when I declutter it, they are used. They might not look like it, like Divine Rose doesn't look like it, but that palette has been used. I've taken it to the gutter and back, even though it still looks really good, but I have used the hell out of this palette. It's just not a messy palette like some of the other motherships. So I disagree when people say, oh, people just don't make wise choices and they're doing these declutters. Because sometimes it is just a learning lesson, or sometimes you have hopes, and it may be a false expectation, like, oh, I'll just get it and see. So it's about, for me, not looking at something and thinking maybe it'll be like this. It is what it is. You know what I mean? So it's about just accepting it for what it is, learning to appreciate it for what it is. And that's what made me start liking, I think it was Moonlit Seduction. Accepting it for what it was and not wanting it to be something other than what it is. And once I realized that, I actually really like Moonlit Seduction. So just accepting what it is, seeing if it is still something that you enjoy, and I really do enjoy Moonlit Seduction. But I've learned, and I am still learning, recently today. So it was more of a reminder, like not to impulse buy, not getting caught up in the hype. And then I remembered, like, my first instinct was not to get it, but then I got it. So that's on me. So that's the learning lesson for me, is to continue paying attention to my gut feeling. And even like with Moolah Bank, if I know it ain't my vibe, don't get it. Or if there's not enough shades to make it smoky or grungy, don't get it. You know what I mean? And so it's not a regret. It's not making wise choices. Sometimes we have to just make the move and learn. And the thing is to learn. So, excuse me, very bottom, Sunset Romance, Natasha Denona's Star Palette, Moolah Bank, Juicy Skewer and Exotic Skewer. Ooh, heavy. Divine Rose, Mothership 7, Divine Rose 11, Sunless Seduction, Divine Rose 5, Bronze Seduction. In the middle of the pack, we have these. I need a screenshot. We have Leela. We have Lethal Cosmetics, the lighter tones. Mission Triple X, which is sort of mid-range with tones. Glam. I do like this palette. Oh my gosh, I do. And I can get smoke out of there. Like, do I want to move that? We ain't moving nothing right now. Because I can get smoke out of it. We ain't moving it. All right, okay, put it down. Caramel Skewer and Tropical Skewer. Very colorful, very bold. And I do like colorful and bold. I do. And the looks were really pretty. A little out of my comfort zone, because I used to do more bold looks before, but it was still mostly the dark, the grunge, and the smoky. And so that reminded me, these two reminded me that I do like bold colors. And also in the middle, at the bottom, near the middle, is the golden one. At the top, even heavy. Should this be my screenshot? Damn, this shit is heavy. Should this be my screenshot? This will be my screenshot. I gotta hold it up higher because the timestamp will be right here near the bottom and you won't see the palette. Screenshot. And my hand is looking all crooked and crazy. Thank you for bearing with me when I do screenshots in the video, because this is easier than waiting until afterwards. Top. Nocturnal Nirvana. That palette. You see how certain palettes is, I can't even speak. It's just, but if I'm not feeling it, I'm like, but when I feel it, I'm just like, top. These got smoking on me. This has grunge, matte, xenon. You see, I can't even say more than what I've already said. And this is what I'm saying. Like, when I'm feeling something, I either feel it or it's like, or it's like, hell no. So 669. I can't even say anything else other than what I said. Subversive, Mothership number 3. Subliminal, Mothership number 2. That was Sublime, Mothership number 2. Subliminal Mothership number 1. So you even see just how I get. Let me know your thoughts. Like, would some of your tops be at the bottom? Would some of your bottoms be at the tops? And it is all about preference and what your preferred aesthetic is. Especially having Sunlit Seduction, Bronze Seduction, and Divine Rose at the bottom. And having Subliminal, Subversive, and Sublime at the top. And 669. Xenon. That's where I live. That's where I fucking live. I'm going to go. Thank you for being here. And I do appreciate you watching and listening to me venting about something that you don't even know what I'm talking about, really, because... And I almost wasn't going to do this video because I was just still trying to process that situation. But it's a learning lesson, and it was a reminder. So that makes it a good thing. I'm going to go. Let me know my top picks midway and my bottom. Let me know what your preferred aesthetic is. Is your preferred aesthetic in my top tier, or is your preferred aesthetic in the middle tier, or is your preferred aesthetic my bottom tier, the light ethereal type looks? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's the question. And it's all subjective. There are no wrong answers. We're all adults. We're not going to argue. We're not even going to agree to disagree. It's all about preference, and it's only makeup. So thank you for being here. If this is your first video of mine that you are watching, thank you. Thank you for being here for this. I appreciate you. Let me know your thoughts as well. If you're new here and this is your first video, let me know that too, because I always get like a little tickle inside. It's like, oh, this is my first video they watched. Yay. Hope they stay. Lots of information down below in the description bar. And that'll be it for this video. Thank you again so much for being here. You guys help me out a lot more than you know. Like, even sitting here just talking to you, it really helps. And so when I say I appreciate you, and when I keep saying thank you, like, I really mean it, because you're probably like, I'm just watching a video, but I do feel like I'm just sitting here kicking it with my homies. You know what I'm saying? And you can be anywhere and you're right here, and I appreciate that. So we're going to go, as always, self-acceptance, self-love. That is the Crazy Troll Nation way. Thank you, and you will see me soon.